Remember this thing called the pandemic, though? Y'all remember COVID? A couple years ago? Let me refresh your memory. The world stopped. We all went home, and we ran out of toilet paper. But there was a moment a few months later, after we figured out the toilet paper thing, after we kind of calmed down, we got to understand what was happening as we're trying to flatten the curve, and all these questions are asked out there. But we started to sink into this reality that we weren't traveling as much, that our jobs had kind of slowed down, that our kids were home, and all of their events, all of their kids' stuff has been, youth sports or whatnot, have been canceled. We started to have time together. And for a lot of us, it felt good. We started cooking at home instead of going out to eat because the restaurants were closed. And as crazy as that time was, what I kept hearing over and over again, I bet this is true for you, is that there was something good about just slowing down and being together. In 2019, right before the pandemic, I remember if you would have asked me how I was doing, I would say, I'm good. I've been busy. And I would tell you, I had this meeting, I needed to write this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this. And what it really was kind of this badge of like what I've been doing, right? I've been busy. But if you catch me now, if you ask me this week, hey man, how you been? I've been busy. Before the pandemic, it was this thing that was like, it's kind of like a badge of honor. It's kind of how important I am. Now, it feels like a weight that I'm carrying. I don't want to be busy. I don't want to go back to pandemic, but I do want to go back to slower. I do want to go back to deeper. I do want to go back to freer. I want to be right there with my family. We want to be together again, right? I want to go to bed early, wake up late. I want that. But yet that doesn't seem to be what's happening, right? Things seem to go faster and faster and faster in our culture. And I feel this surge as the pandemic's kind of ending, that I'm busy again, and I don't like it. I heard this crazy statistic this week that in 1967, 62 or 67, there was a Senate subcommission who came together and presented evidence to our U.S. Senate that by the year 1985, people will only be working 20 hours a week. There won't be enough time, or they won't have enough work to do. Most of us spend 20 hours a week just on volunteer work for our kids, right? Just 20 hours a week. Like, that doesn't seem to be my reality. Is it yours? I heard this crazy statistic. Before Edison invented the light bulb, Americans averaged 11 hours of sleep a night. If I get 7, my mind is blown. If you want to know why people did so much back in they had time. But yet our culture, our world, just seems to get busier and busier and busier. And it's not just work. Like, work goes busy, right? And now we have email, and now we have Teams, and now we have all these things that our bosses or our clients can get in touch with us. And it makes life more efficient, but it eats away that margin, that little buffer. And man, we love working from home, but we kind of miss that little commute when we could listen to a podcast or turn the radio off. We had a little bit of alone time. And then our kids' lives get busier. School gets more demanding. Youth programs get more intense. 1 practice, 1 game, 2 practices, 2 games, 3 practices, 2 games. Like it just keeps getting faster and faster. And here's the deal. We keep getting busier and busier, but busy isn't freedom. You're not free when you're busy, right? Like, it might be freedom from things that some of us like to keep busy so we don't dwell on things. That's not real freedom. Busy isn't free. And yet more and more of us find ourselves slipping back into this. And I certainly find this myself. And what we figured out, because as a church, we've talked about margin, we've talked about slowing down quite a bit. And it seems like one of those things that we just have to kind of reset from time to time, because busy isn't free. Busy isn't fun either, right? Like, busy isn't the best version of you, right? Like, no one's like, oh my gosh, did you guys hear? Nick's busy. Let's go hang out with that guy, right? You don't come home from work and you're just like, hey, dad's busy, and the kids come running out. Yay, it's going to be, no. Oh, it's not the best version of me. It's not the best version of you. You feel short-tempered. You feel rushed. You got to hurry through things. How horrible is that? You're not kind. You're not gentle. You're not compassionate. You're not generous. If a friend comes to you with a problem, they want to talk, can you text it to me? Is there a meme that kind of sums it all up? No. Busy is not the best version of you. And partially that is because busy and love are incompatible. Busy and love, they just don't go together. They're oil and water. This is why when you think of a romantic dinner, you don't think of fast food. Not because it's not cheap, because it's fast. When you think about romantic dinner, it doesn't matter. It could be on the bed of a tailgate. It could be a picnic in a park. It could be at a fine dining restaurant. But it's slow. Because busy and love are incompatible. When your kid comes to you and they want to climb up into your lap because they want to tell you about some ridiculous movie they saw or some crazy question they had or just whatever it is that is the delight of children, but you're too busy to enjoy it, love doesn't seem to happen, does it? And so when we're busy, we're not the best versions of ourselves, and we're busy, love just seems to kind of slip through, or we feel pulled between the two. Maybe the other reason, maybe the whole reason behind it is that you weren't designed to be busy. It's not in your programming. You're not wired that way. We're not built to be busy. God did not design you that way. Nature hasn't been part of that, and yet we all find ourselves there. And maybe that's why anxiety's on the rise. Maybe that's why dread's on the rise. Maybe that's why we keep turning to these things that try to turn our brains off. Because we weren't designed to be this busy. And God knew this. And so when God called his people out of Egypt, when he called Israel and said, hey, it's time to leave, he took them into the desert to teach them how to be free, how to be humans.